He doesn't follow us or the show, but this popped in my timeline. He was in Brandon, Mississippi at a Waffle House. A total loser, came in last place in my fantasy football league. And as punishment, he has to spend 24 hours in a Waffle House, but every waffle that he eats shaves an hour off the clock.
Right.
And
Daryl was locked into this last night, and we were watching Holy Moly, so I wasn't really into it. And then I kind of went back and I saw the whole thread, and I'm like, my God, this is true.
And then he starts, reporting about the waffles that he eats and how. So it turns into like a mixture of gonzo journalism, Hunter S. Thompson style, about somebody going into a slice of America and living a life and reporting on the experience. And then part supersize me, like a little Morgan Spurlock. Like, what happens if you eat McDonald's for a full month? What happens to your body? And so, because he talks about how the waffles are not sitting well with him. Like, literally,
no. Right.
I mean, he gets deep into everything about this process.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the King's Court. What's up, Steely Beats? Haven't seen you in the chat in the last couple days. Glad you're looking forward to the show. It's going to be a fun one. It's the dog days of summer. We're scratching, we're clawing for content. What are we doing? Wait till you get to August. I know you get football back, but with the NBA, and I know our big focus here is the Kings, things slow down significantly, because once you get into September, before you know it, training camps open, and it will be media day. And as Ken Shinter points out, the season can't get here fast enough. I agree with you. Looking forward to it. Certainly the Kings looking to still make a couple of moves. We'll talk about those. I mean, we've talked about these to death, right? We all know what the Kings need to do. They got to get that 4. They can play a little bit of 5. They wrap up the California Classic last night in a loss to the Golden State Warriors. I will tell you what concerned me about that loss. It's not the loss, but there was something within it that I did not like to see so much. Also, names being announced for the Vegas Summer League. Not a big surprise. Keon Ellis is going to be on that roster. I wonder how much Keon's going to be a part of that Summer League team. I don't know if he'll play the entire couple of weeks in Vegas. We'll see, but some other names announced for that as well. Team USA last night. What'd you think about that game against Canada? A little sleepy, a little slow out of the gate. USA should run this thing easily when it comes to the Olympics, but there are a couple of things that concern me about other teams and what they do internationally compared to what the USA does. And we're brought to you by Bennett's Westside Grill today. That's their newest location in Rockland in the Blue Oaks Town Center. Make sure you go check that out. And I need your help today. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Dave, no hat, buddy. I know I did not go hat today. We're just going haircut. It's been a little bit of a busy day. The little man, holy moly. By the way, I need to acknowledge this really quick to one of my best friends in the world, my little brother, Nick. I love you, dude. Happy 29th birthday. Hope you and the wife have an excellent day in Boise. Thinking about you, dude. But with that out of the way, yes, no hat. We've been running around. The little man's had a cough now for, I don't know, it's been like 2 weeks, kind of off and on. He has allergies, but this one's been a little bit different. And yeah, I was that guy. We were at Target about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and he had a coughing attack. And you know that feeling where like the spotlight, it just feels like it's shining directly down on you? we're in the check or the self checkout, and I can just see the people looking around, like, because people are really still sensitive to that. My son's covering his mouth, doing what you need to do, but you get those looks, and I'm like, I can't get him out of here quick enough. But we got him a new book. Hopefully the cough settles down and we get through the show okay. But like I said at the top, I need your help. Here's where I need your help. For the last 3 or 4 years, I have not played fantasy football. You guys all know here on If You Don't Like That, we do a pick'em league, which we are going to do again this year. If you've not been a part of it, you got to be a part of it. We do it through Yahoo, and basically you pick every game each week against the spread. That is not the easiest thing in the world to do. I believe the winner of the league last year was picking at about a 57% rate because, again, you're going against the spread. If you're like anywhere above 50, especially closer to 60, you're doing pretty damn good because that's usually what the Vegas guys, 60, 63%, they're usually floating around. Get some ivermectin for him. I've never heard that. We're going with the kids Mucinex right now. We're going to see if that helps him out. But I'll look into that. Thanks, Dennis. But anyways, with the Pick'em League last year, I believe it was Peter. Peter, correct me if I'm wrong. Peter's listening. I think he won the league. And what we do is we have usually a prize, a gift card that is last year donated by Jay Griffiths and his lovely wife, Kathy. $100 gift card. Peter got that, but we're going to do that again this year. So be on the lookout for that. It is completely free to be a part of. Napes is a part of it as well. Napes actually did pretty good. And then the winner the year before that was actually Sea Dog. Yes, Sea Dog, not Corn Dog, not CT Dog, not Ash Dog, Sea Dog. He won the league the year before that, and that was a pain in the butt because I tracked it by hand. Yes, I'm sitting here on Listen app, basically doing some producing stuff for Grant. I'm writing picks down left and right, doing it the old-fashioned way. Now we have it through Yahoo, so that's really easy. But back to my point, I have not played traditional fantasy football in probably 3 seasons, maybe 4. I was a part of a legacy league for a while. I was brought into it. I took over somebody's franchise. You're talking about a league where they had been doing it for 20, 25 years. They draft in person. And it was a pleasure to be in that league. But then my group of friends, I've got this side group of friends. You guys know about, the Jim Rome show and some of my connections there, a group of clones that I play with. Now, here's the problem with the clones. They like to have fun on the back end. And when I mean on the back end, and that's why I played the clip at the beginning of the show from the Rich Eisen show about a fantasy football punishment. Somebody, the loser, the person that finished last in the league, had to be in Waffle House or a Waffle House for 24 hours straight. So you can imagine all these different creative punishments that we hear about. Well, they were just getting to be a little bit too much for me with the Clone League. So I dropped out. I was putting my time into this, doing the King stuff with Grant. And now they're trying to get me back in the league. And they've gone as far to say, if you want to choose what the punishment will be for the last person or the last place person in the league, we will let you choose it. And so I've been thinking about it. Do I not do it? What should the punishment be? Because it's got to be something good, but it can't be anything too extreme. So I need your help. Do you have any ideas on punishments that are reasonable? I've been scouring the internet and I found a couple that I kind of like. I think a little bit, or maybe a couple, couple steps over the line for me. But give me your help. Give me some fantasy football loser ideas, punishment ideas on what you think would fare and if I should get back into it. Yeah, Dennis, completely free to join the Pick'em League. So a number of people that are probably watching right now, I see we got 13 on YouTube, and I'll check the X numbers here in a second. We're participating in it last year, and we give you a weekly update too. So we'll throw some spice into it. We'll make it worth your while, make it worth your fun, definitely have a prize. And there is no penalty, by the way, No penalty for being the last place person in the league. You're all good. We're not going to do anything to mess with you. So you don't have to worry about that. We've got 79 that have already checked in on X. We appreciate you being here on the Kings Court. Impractical jokers. Yeah. They do some pretty funny stuff to each other. You could do something around that. Derek, burn that shirt. What shirt? What shirt are you talking? I know you're not talking about this shirt. No, this is a Seahawks house. You see that ring that's back there, back that way next to the helmet? That's a Seahawks ring. Wait, that ring's still there, right? Yeah, there it is. I'm making sure my son didn't steal it. Yeah, thank you, John. It's a nice shirt, right? Bane, the loser tattoo. Or the loser has to get a tattoo chosen by the league. So that was actually a punishment in the league. Somebody had to do that already. And so I will tell you another punishment that was in the same league that they're trying to get me back into. It was taking a blow-up doll out to dinner. Yeah, a blow-up doll out to dinner. A date with a doll. So that's why I'm pumping the brakes a little bit. But if I can find something equitable, if I could find something fair, I might consider it. So that's why I'm turning to all of you. Oh, excuse me. This is a Debo community, 49ers and DeRozans. Hey, you know what? I don't have a problem with you repping your team here, right? I've always been Seahawks guy. So if you're a Niners fan, rep your team. But I will say this, Seahawks fans, loyal as hell. Good and bad loyal. And Bane, or who is it? It's Derek that's bringing this up. Derek, dude, sometimes Niners fans, they're bandwagons, man. It's never in the middle with Niners fans. It's either hardcore and ride die, or it's like getting all the gear, flying the flags when the Niners are doing well, and then not doing well. Where you at? Where you at? Returning the stuff? Maybe. Sometimes. Let's see. Grant must have come up with that punishment. No, that was not Grant's punishment. He is not in that league. Also, if you guys want to, I found an interesting thing on Reddit. It is a NBA style Family Feud with Family Feud questions based around basketball in the NBA. So if two people want to call in, I've got the buzzer and I've got the buzzer and the ding. If you guys want to take your stabs at a little bit of NBA basketball Family Feud, we can do that as well. All right, let's get to the quick updates to start the show off. Starting with the Kings losing last night. You can see the bottom scroll. I put some of that information in there. First and foremost, Devin Carter has underwent successful left shoulder surgery. Put that out on Twitter a couple of hours ago. He will be on the mend. Still no firm update on a timeline for his return, although a lot of speculation has it right around that 6 to 8 month period. Now, I have not gotten confirmation on exactly what the shoulder problem is. Obviously, it's probably, if you want to look at the statistics, the surgeries that most people have on shoulders, outside of something exotic like an AC joint that has to be sawed down a little bit, it's probably in between labrum, rotator cuff, and this is pure speculation. I have not heard this from the Kings or Devin's camp. So with either of those surgeries, those improve your shoulder. And if you have, especially with the labrum, if you have an issue with separations, they tighten up those muscles while they're in there. And it's kind of similar to Kevin Huerter, right? I know he has had shoulder problems in the past. That's what put him out at the end of the season. But shoulder surgery is one of those ones where it can actually make things better. So you just got to be patient with it. I can tell you this, probably the hardest part about Devin Carter's recovery is going to be taking it easy. Because with shoulders, especially with the technology these days, you don't feel too terrible after surgery, 2-3 weeks out, but you have to be extremely careful. So that's why the Kings have their medical team around. They will make sure to monitor him and bring him along at the proper pace. So let's get back to last night. The Kings lose to the Golden State Warriors. They sent over to the Bay Area a couple of the guys from the Kings one team, that being Keon Ellis, to name one, Mason Jones, and so forth, Colby Jones. I was not bothered by the Kings' loss. It is what it is. It's the California Classic. It's time to just it's open gym. It's open gym that lets the crowd come in and watch you play. I mean, there's no size on the floor compared to what you're going to see. I mean, very, very little size compared to what you'll see in the NBA, and even compared to what you'll see in Summer League. Even Summer League still a little bit smaller than what you see once the season starts. But the one thing that bugged me, I know Keon scored the ball well. Keon had 6 turnovers last night. You are not really playing, and I know Jackson was playing for the Warriors, but you can't have 6 turnovers against that type of competition in the California Classic. That is a problem. So that's got to get cleaned up. But overall, decent showing for the Kings. I don't think they were really tested too much in the California Classic. China game, we know about. San Antonio, they rolled. Charlotte, we know about. And then last night. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they get over to Las Vegas. I know that they are anxious to get that going. Too bad Devin Carter is not going to get any run there, but that doesn't mean that Devin can't be around the team at times. So we will see. BJ, what's up, my man? Who's my favorite Seahawk of all time, or my favorite Seahawk right now, BJ? Let me know and I can hit that for you. Alberto, what's up, man? How's it going today? Hope you're having a good one. Are the Kings still in talks for Kuzma? I like our roster regardless. All options are open right now. I'm sure that an offer could still be there for Kyle Kuzma. What Washington is doing is really interesting, right? I'm not quite following. Are they trying to rebuild? Are they trying to stay middle of the pack? Are they trying to get in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes? But I'm starting to think, is Kuzma really the best fit for this Kings team, especially now that you have DeMar DeRozan that is going to be here, introduced to the media the other day. Very impressed by him. Again, if you have to ask me to summarize my first impression of him in one word, it is genuine. I was really happy to see his happiness, his drive, his want to be in Sacramento. And damn it, he wants to light that beam too. So looking forward to that. Kuzma or Markkanen still active. I'm on the record as saying anyone that trades for Lauri Markkanen before August, you're nuts. It makes no sense whatsoever. There are some people speculating that Lauri and his people have actually not been too shy about it. They are looking forward to free agency. Remember? Free agency? Yeah, he's only got 1 year left on his contract, but that's also a power play too. Of course, you're going to look forward to free agency. It's going to be the first big time that he's going to be looking to get paid. So the reason he is not eligible to re-sign with a team or sign an extension until August is because of his last deal. It was signed in August as opposed to most of the other deals that are done in July. So you're really risking a lot. And I've heard a lot of people say this, and it's really true. You're not going to win a trade with Danny Ainge. So I'm taking Markkanen off the table. I don't think it makes sense with the Kings timeline, especially with the new CBA. Think about it. The CBA is completely directed at drafting well and developing talent within that 3-4 year period that you have them for a cheaper rate, especially the lottery picks. Remember, you have a set pay scale there. That is where teams are going to get that extra push now. And so the Kings right now, they need to be careful about watching their draft capital, especially if they are still trying to remain young. Because if you get into bed with Lauri, and I get it, he's a very good fit. He would work out really well, theoretically, here in Sacramento. I just think the ransom on the other side is a little bit too much. I told you guys last week, Keegan Murray was off the table. Eventually, that was confirmed by other reports. So I don't think he is going anywhere. And that is really, that's the sweet spot. That is what other teams, if you're looking to make that big move, the big one to take the Kings over the top, it's got to have Keegan involved in it, and the Kings aren't willing to part ways, and I don't blame them. And you got to think about this too with Keegan. If you were going to trade him, this would be the time to do it, because you still don't know what his ceiling's going to be. You still have him for another 2 years, basically. And probably his max value is right now during this contract, because somebody else would still get that back in return and have the rights to re-sign him. But he's off the table. He was mentioned by Monty in the DeMar press conference. DeMar mentioned Keegan specifically. And I think it's interesting because having DeMar here may really help open up Keegan's spot up game again. But on the flip side of that, I don't want it to stunt Keegan's growth, where last year you saw him getting more aggressive on the offensive end. You saw him trying to create his own shot a little bit more. I want that to continue. I don't want him just to be a spot up shooter. Look, the Kings are talking to a lot of people right now, Excel. There's a lot of things going on. What I can tell you is when you get to Vegas, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. When you get to Vegas, that's when the executives really start butting their heads together, because free agency has pretty much ran its course by that time. You're seeing what your rookies can do in Summer League. And granted, you don't put a ton of weight into Summer League. I asked Jerry about this on Tuesday, and he thought it was a really good point that Summer League, as much as anything else, is about confidence for some of these guys. They got to know that, okay, this game's not too fast for me. Now, granted, you're not playing against all NBA talent. You're not playing against guys that will all be suiting up come the fall, but it is a good place to get some run, have some good eyes on you, because a lot of the guys that do not play in Summer League, because they're already stars in the league, they still congregate in Vegas. You'll see a lot of names out there watching the basketball. So a lot of time for them to learn as well. Yes, Pods was, Pods from USA Select was there. Very cool. Rhino. What's up, Progressive? My all-time favorite Seahawk. I'm going to say Steve Largent. All-time. Now it's so hard because the roster is turned over so much. It's probably Tyler Lockett right now. I know DK is a popular choice. A close second to me is Russell Wilson. And I'm talking Russell Wilson pre-Ciara. When Russell came in as a rookie, his mindset those first few years, the way he kind of changed the culture there, he did. He changed the mindset from a season mindset to a game-to-game mindset. And don't get me wrong, dude had an amazing defense behind him, had a decent passing game. His offensive coordinator was not very good, though. Darrell Bevell takes some issue with him. Obviously, we know about the Seahawks losing that second Super Bowl with the controversial call. But probably Lockett, but Wilson is a close second for my all-time favorite Seahawk. Felix, what's up, my man? Read on Twitter that the Kings are considering signing Iman Shumpert. Is that true? I have not heard that. That would be surprising to me. He's been here in Sacramento. I don't know what he could provide to this team. I don't think he really fits the timeline for this team. A little bit older than you'd like. Now, I get you can counter that DeMar DeRozan does not fit the timeline in terms of age, but DeMar is an established dude. DeMar has been all NBA 3 times, 6-time All-Star. You know what he's going to give this team, and what he does actually really indirectly helps out the Kings in their offensive system in the half court. Grant and I talked about that a little bit last night. The Kings half court offense last year was awful, and it was painful to watch. I mean, literally painful. Sometimes it felt like you were watching like 6th graders play basketball, the way they would just swing it around the perimeter. 8 left on the shot clock, better get a shot up. And more times than not, you had a guy taking the shot that you didn't want taking a shot, like a Chris Duarte, etc. DeMar DeRozan now gives you there's no reason, let's put it this way, with DeMar DeRozan on the roster, this Kings team should not be able to operate in the half court, if not as good or better than 22-23, the playoff season, because you got two guys you can run the DHO through. Now you've got bigger pick and roll game that you can play. You've got a better high-low game that DeMar and Keegan can play. And really the ability at any given time, you've got three Kings on the court that can create their own shots, which I've beat that horse to death. But the Kings, up until that signing, and arguably the Kings still need to get some more creators. But last year, we know for sure the Kings had not enough creators. They had way too many finishers. And that's part of the half-court problem that we're talking about right now. And part of the problem DeMar solves. What's up, dude? How did you see Team USA versus Canada last night? You know, it wasn't surprising. They've got to get some chemistry to them. But here's the thing that worries me. And it was something that I was talking to another podcaster about, actually on their podcast, that'll be released, I believe, early next week. Because Team USA, head and shoulders favorite, right? To win the tournament, to win the gold medal. But the thing that worries me is the defensive end of the court. And here's why. And you kind of saw it last night. You don't have the guys on defense, really. You got Drew Holiday. You're going to have Derek White. But how many minutes is Derek White going to get? Probably not a ton, right? So if you look at the offensive threats, your Steph Currys, your Devin Bookers, right? On the perimeter, I am very worried about Team USA's foot speed. And I know that's a very random thing to be worried about, but here's why it worries me. Because I don't think they have enough to get through screens. Steve Kerr, also, you know, his coaching staff, I would also say Eric Spoelstra, sometimes they are partial to switching. And I just don't know how it's going. The best thing for Team USA defensively is to have quick possessions. And what worries me about a lot of the international teams, they've got better chemistry than the US have, because they've got guys that have played together for a really long time. And I know the talent isn't nearly as good as Team USA's talent, but they have the ability to make Team USA work on defense. And if you make them work a lot on defense, you know how that can sometimes affect the offensive end of the court. There's nobody, and I mean nobody in the Olympics that can run with Team USA. There's nobody that can guard them offensively. They almost have a mismatch at every position. But the defensive end does worry me. Now, ultimately, I don't think other teams are going to be able to score a ton on them. But last night, Devin Brooks, you saw him get into the mid-range. I think Team USA is very susceptible in the mid-range. You saw SGA coming off some screens, hitting some threes. So that whole thing, because defense is just as much about chemistry as it is being in the right spot. You have to anticipate what your teammates are going to do, and that takes time. It really does. It doesn't take a 2-week training camp that Team USA has had, because Team USA rolls out the studs once it's time for the Olympics, and then they walk it back the other 3 years of every cycle, or 8 years of every cycle. So for me, that is what worried me. You kind of saw it confirmed last night. So if they have to, exactly right, BJ, and that's what I'm getting at. The ball moves around a lot. If you make Team USA work on defense, it could affect the other end of the court. That is my worry. So we will see how they do. In fact, they're going to be playing a lot of the other teams that they will see in group play. They're headed to Abu Dhabi. They're going to be playing Serbia. What's up, Baki? Shout out to Baki. Holy moly, Jim Bob.
Holy moly, Jim Bob Bowley.
They're going to be taking on Serbia and Australia in Abu Dhabi. Then they head on to London. They'll be taking on South Sudan and Germany. And then it's going to be just about time to head to Paris for the group stages. Group stages go like this: Serbia, South Sudan, Puerto Rico, and then you get into the elimination games, which would be the quarterfinals, the semis, and the finals. Those are all single elimination. So it's going to take, I believe, 8 games for Team USA to win the gold medal. But I think they will. I don't think there's any question about that. How about Pat Bev? He'd be a real dog here. I think Pat Bev. So great example. DeMar DeRozan. I said genuine was the word that stuck with me about him being introduced to the Kings, and remember, before he even signed or they negotiated the deal, right? He wanted to come to Sacramento. He wanted to come see the facilities. He wanted to talk to the coaches. He wanted to talk to some of the players. He wasn't looking just to get the biggest amount of money. The Clippers were after him. He's an LA guy. We've had this conversation. So what I'm saying is Pat Bev, on the other hand, I feel like that's a dude that's just trying to get a bag. And I also feel like the podcast is more important than what's on the court. And he really rubbed me the wrong way at the end of the season last year, throwing the basketball not once but twice at fans, and then telling a very well-respected female reporter that she could not ask him questions if he did or she didn't follow his podcast. Get the hell out of here with that garbage. I don't want somebody like that anywhere near the Sacramento Kings locker room. So I don't care if he's a dog. He doesn't fit the culture that I think this team's trying to build, but I have been wrong before. Pat Bev is a time bomb. Yeah. Tick, tick, tick. In the NBA, let's talk about that really quick. Can you believe the NBA, what they give him, 4 or 5 games for that? Go back and watch the video. That was bad. That not only does he throw it once at a fan, he basically one-times it as hard as he can when the fan throws it back at him. It's assault. Look, it's a King's Court for a reason. The word court is in here because that's what I used to be around in a previous lifetime. That is battery. It's literally battery with an object. So the fact that he got 4 games, bad look, horrible look. 100%. Alberto says DeMar is authentic and class act. Yeah, totally blown away by him. I can't wait to see what he's going to do here. And I also really think it raises the level of accountability in the locker room. I think that it brings a new standard to this team. Not saying there wasn't a standard before and that Harrison wasn't a very respected member of the Kings. I just think the shakeup, especially with a guy like DeMar, it changes things. It changes the dynamics. And look, De'Aaron Fox, he wanted this roster to get better. This was, as much as anything else, a De'Aaron Fox move. De'Aaron wanted to play with DeMar. So looking forward to see what they do together as the season gets closer. Just read a report. The Heat were really interested in DeMar. They couldn't move the Duncan Robinson contract. Yeah, they also had Jimmy Butler quasi on the market. Looks like that's off now. DeMar wanted to go to a team. He really did. He wanted to go to a team where he could contend and make them better. I don't know how much better DeMar DeRozan makes the Heat because you got Jimmy Butler there. They're very similar players. So we'll get back to the conversation in a little bit. Also, remember, I led the show with this. I need your help. I need your help. Should I or should I not get back into my clone fantasy football league? And here's the caveat. I get to choose the punishment for the person that finishes in last place. I need ideas. Let me know if you have any good ones. Let's go to Corn Dog. What's up, dude?
What's up? Yes for fantasy football. Yes, you can choose the punishment for the loser.
Okay, but I need ideas. What should the punishment be?
Well, I guess do you want to like make it like personal or like just like a judgment kind of thing?
Well, I want it. It's got to have a little bite to it, but I don't want it to be anything that's gonna like get you in trouble with your wife.
Maybe make last place wear a jersey of their most hated team.
All right, I'll write it down. Most hated team. All right, there is our first real men of genius example. All right. So what's up, man? We talked some video games yesterday. You got some sleep? Did you play some games since we last spoke?
Oh, of course I did.
Okay, there you go.
I'm gonna put BJ to sleep again.
Nice.
Oh yeah, no. But I'm just really excited for college football. Like it, I mean, so I guess I'm gonna keep going on about it, but there's a new system, a new fatigue system in the game where like your player experience wear and tear over the game and over the season and stuff. So like if your quarterback gets an arm injury in the game, he's not going to be able to throw as well. So you're going to have to mix up your strategy.
Interesting.
That good stuff. You might end up, like the 49ers without any QB in the NFC title game.
So, like, how do you, like, let's say you've got a great team, you've rebuilt a program. I know a lot of games are like online now where you can play against people. Like, how do you gloat that? How do you get your run for that?
So usually you can make like a group or whatever and start an online dynasty with a bunch of people, and so the head guy's gonna set a day where like you have, and to where you guys can fit, you have this amount of time to finish your week. And during that week, you're going to play your game. You're going to do your recruiting and all that, which, that recruiting alone honestly takes more than playing a game. Because you're recruiting in the middle of the season, just like a coach too. And you're looking at your prospects, your pipeline, your state pipelines, all that, trying to find guys that fit. And then
interesting.
You do it all, and then you do it all over till the end of the season. There's guys going to NFL, guys you lose in the transfer portal. Yeah, transfer portal's now in the game too.
Okay, so is this gonna be a hard game to get your hands on? Or
No. This ain't like the old days where there's only physical copies in the store. Like we have digital, so.
Okay.
Which honestly, digital hurt the value of physical games overall. Just because you can almost always get a copy, unless it's taken off the store. When it's taken off the store, then it can go back up like an NCAA 14 where there wasn't a new one. But that's really rare. Even most physical games, they don't even really have an instruction manual anymore or a cool booklet. They kind of just has a little thing. Unless you get like a super collector's edition, which used to be the standard where you'd get the box, the instruction booklet, read it on your way home and stuff.
Yeah.
So newer games honestly have a little less value than the older games, which is where it hurts because there are some games I'd like to buy physical copies for, but but sometimes the digital is also at a better price too.
Yeah, a couple of my friends, they said they're on some website called Steam, and it's like video game sharing. I'm like, that's a weird name for video.
Steam,
game sharing.
Steam is pretty much the store, the main store for PC gaming at this point.
PC.
You create an account, there's an app, and then you open it up and it takes you to the store. And Steam has so many sales, like you'll buy so many games because they're so cheap and you just don't have time to play them. Like there's the fall sales, winter sales, summer sales, spring sales, Labor Day sales, they'll be like, they'll have random collections out. They'll say, Sonic franchise collection, 70% off, or what's another Fallout collection, this amount % off, or Doom. I'm just naming a couple franchises off the top of my head.
Hey, I'm gonna let you go really quick because I just got an email. I want to read this off to the fans. It's really important.
Oh boy!
So, all right, hang in there. I'll bring you back here in a little bit. Okay. All right. So this is just coming in. Devin Carter injury update just released. He will be out approximately 6 months. So this is actually good news. Sacramento Kings announced today Devin Carter underwent successful left shoulder surgery to repair a torn labrum. That is important. Torn labrum. Labrum is not as bad as the rotator cuff. The procedure was performed by Dr. Harlan Selznick at Baptist Health Doctors Hospital in Coral Gables, Florida. Carter will begin the rehabilitation process and is expected to make a full recovery. Medical update will be provided in approximately 6 months. So let's break this down really quick. A medical update in 6 months. Medical update in 6 months. That does not mean he is going to miss 6 months. So that is when he is going to be reevaluated, basically, because you will get an update in 6 months. So the 6 to 8 month kind of guesstimate time period that had been thrown out there, that seems to be pretty much right on par with what we are seeing here. But yep, that just came to my email from the Sacramento Kings. So yes, Devin Carter, torn labrum. That's good news, Kings fans. That is good news. So BJ, the 6 months again, it's when he's going to be reevaluated. That's what it means. Another medical update will be provided in approximately 6 months. So yes, very good news. If you are a Kings fan, that it was not the rotator cuff. So Grant and I had some conversations about, what did the Kings know? If this is worse than maybe what was thought, then would Monty McNair had possibly, maybe not traded him or maybe not drafted him. A torn labrum, again, surgery. You never want to have surgery, but not the worst surgery that shoulder could have, and it's a very common injury. So, Corn Dog, I'll bring you back in, dude. How you feeling about that?
So from that, I'm guessing we're not seeing Devin Carter till maybe post All-Star break.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. Now, he's going to be able to work the lower body this entire time, which is a good thing. He can keep his cardio up, but there is a difference between being in shape and being in basketball shape.
Yeah. Plus, learning the offense and actually getting the practice and stuff.
So part of his game, too, is strength. He is built well, and so I'll be interested to see how that translates. Obviously, he's not going to probably lose strength in the long run from this, but that could be a factor coming back and when they bring him back. But 6 months from now, we are middle of July, so August, September, October, November, December, January, probably post All-Star break, like you said, will be probably the most likely time you will see Devin Carter on an NBA court. Now, what will be interesting is if this maybe affects him playing the entire season, depending on what's going on with the Kings. Maybe they hold him out. I'm not trying to suggest that, but he could have a setback. Again, Devin Carter, torn labrum, successful surgery, as we reported earlier today. They just released what it was, torn labrum. He will have another medical update in 6 months.
Yeah, it all depends on where the Kings are at. Like if we're sitting, on like fire and we're, a top 3 seed by that All-Star break, you're already inching that 40 win territory. We might just, sit him down and not want to break our rotation.
You never know. You never know. You're going to want to have as much firepower as you can, but the fact that it's a labrum, that is what is most comforting to me. No rotator cuff, big thing.
Yep. Yeah. Rotator cuff right here, around here. Yeah. That's the big one right there.
No doubt. So, all right, brother, I'm going to let you get back to the video games one day. Bring it back.
One day?
What's that?
Just only one day?
What do you mean one day?
Oh, I thought you said I'm going to let you get back to the video games one day. Like I only get one day.
No. I said I'm going to let you get back to the video games and do your thing. Get some rest, dude. Stay cool.
Woo, yeah, it's a hot one, everyone.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to take you down. Go ahead.
It's a hot one, everyone. Later.
Later, brother. That is Corn Dog. All right. Devin Carter, what do you guys think? Torn labrum. He will be reevaluated in 6 months. So, yeah, Bane, the medical update will come in 6 months, January. So, Adam chiming in. I don't think Kings knew about that injury. Yes, they did. Who runs the backup point until then? Monk Ellis. It's probably going to fall on Keon. It's going to be point guard by committee. The way the Kings are set up And especially with De'Aaron Fox playing so much off the ball last year, the Kings don't really run a true offense with a true point guard per se, unless you've got De'Aaron doing the isolation stuff and you've got Malik, who's not a true point guard, running pick and roll with Sabonis. I would expect Keon picks up some of those minutes. Colby Jones, in fact, I will say I don't think he's there quite yet, especially with what we saw in the California Classic. Now, can that change? Certainly. You got Summer League. You have training camp, a lot of time to still improve, a lot of time to get coached up, a lot of time to spend bonding with the guys, building that chemistry. So his name will be tossed around there. And then obviously McLaughlin, I know he's the new signing. Look, if you're looking at his 3-point percentage, y'all, and you're like, oh, this guy's an unbelievable 3-point shooter. Yes, he shot it at a 47% clip last year, but he didn't shoot enough attempts to qualify for the league rankings when it comes to that. And his minutes were kind of at a different time. So I'll be interested to see what the Kings do with him. There is some, I would say Dirk came in here, talked about his defense. He didn't get much run with Minnesota, but maybe he gets thrown in there. I really see him more as like the Della Vedova type, kind of the end of the bench, veteran if you need him off and on. Some people will say Mason Jones. Mace will not be the backup point guard for this team. I can almost guarantee it. And this is, I should say, a big Mason Jones house. So we'll see who they turn to. Seattle shirt for the Seattle Sounders. I don't have one, Tin. I do not. If I had one, I'd rock one. Let's see. Back up is McLaughlin. I don't think it is, guys. I really don't think it is. I would be surprised if it's going to be him. Could be. I just don't think. Ouch. That is garbage. What's garbage? That's one of my favorite drops of all time. Okay. So we've got a couple suggestions so far for the fantasy football punishments. We've got wear a Seattle jersey, which I think, although I appreciate it, Corn Dog, I think it's a little bit too light. We've gotten a couple more in there. Here's some of the ones that I found. I found these pretty interesting. Where are they at? Here we go. I thought there was a couple funny ones here. We heard about the Waffle House one. Okay, so full disclosure, if you're going to throw the wax in there, that has already been a punishment in this league where you have to get your chest waxed. Yeah, not doing that again. Let's see. A piercing? No. The Boy Scout. Is there anything cuter than a guy dressed in a Boy Scouts outfit selling lemonade on a corner? How about your fantasy football league loser wearing a Boy Scout uniform selling lemonade? Anyways, you get it. The loser must sit at the lemonade stand until all of his lemonade is gone or the street lights come home or come on. I don't know. Open mic comedy? Oh, that would be awkward. Host next year's fantasy draft. Okay, I like this one. The Fireman. Check this out. BJ says a tattoo. Believe it or not, a tattoo has already been a punishment in this league. BJ says he says tattoo. The Fireman. So you guys know when they do the boot drives and the firemen are out, you have to stand on the corner during rush hour until the sun goes down with signs that say, honk if you want to see me dance. My fantasy football team sucks. I kind of like that one. That one's pretty strong. That is not bad at all. Matthew breaking up the fantasy talk. I'm happy with DeMar even over Levine. Of course, Levine would have been a bad fit here. Who, in his way, had a similar attitudes as Hield does and is a bit toxic, although to his credit, Levine was more of a gentleman. I don't know enough about Zach LaVine. I just know this. His number is too high. Even if Zach LaVine projects, it's too big of a number for me. And I don't think the criticism about DeMar, right? And we've all heard this in the days after the signing. And some of the national media who does not take enough time to really look at these situations and what the Kings try to do, they just stereotype. It's the Kings, you know. DeMar's a little bit of a ball stopper, but that does not bother me because ball stopping here with the DHOs, I said at the top of the show, is a great thing for the Kings. It gives them two sides of the court to be able to play that at any time. In fact, you could probably bring Sabonis and DeMar up at the same time. You could go one low, one high. You can set picks for them. You can change the way that you initiate the offense. And I think that was also a big thing for the Kings last year. It became too predictable, far too predictable. You knew Sabonis was going to come up or you knew Fox was going to go down. The pick and roll also needs to be a big part of the conversation with this team. We know Monk and Sabonis, excellent together at the pick and roll, but I want to see Foxy and Sabonis get back at that. I want to see them run that a little bit more because when the defense is on their heels, which I don't think the Kings last year did enough of, they didn't get the defense on their heels. But when they are on the heels and they don't know if you're going to shoot the three, they don't know if you're going to go to the hoop, they don't know if you're going to swing it or if you're going to use the screen, that is when offenses ran its best. And so I think there is some room there for the Kings to get that going again. You can always shave your head live on the podcast if you're a loser. You could do that. There are some guys in this league. The problem with that, John, is we're spread out throughout the nation. So that would mean that we would have to fly the loser in probably, unless it was like somebody, I guess Oregon, you could probably make the drive, but not a bad idea. We have a good history of head shaving around here. If you don't know that, Grant and I did that for mostly charity a couple of years ago. That was a lot of fun. What a fun event. John, you were there. Anyone else in the house for that? At Bennett's in Rockland or in Roseville. That was the Roseville Bennett's. That was a very good time. Speaking of Grant, make sure you're subscribed to If You Don't Like That. That is where all of our content is at, including exclusive rants, shows with Sean Salisbury, Ian Eagle, Jerry Reynolds, Scott Pollard, and much more. You can find all of our Kings pregame, halftime, and postgame shows there as well, which we will be firing up pretty soon again for all of you. Be doing that again this season. So make sure you're one of the 7,000 that is already subscribed, and then turn on your notifications. You'll know anytime that we are doing a live show. And by the way, guess what? Grant will be here back at 5 o'clock doing another open forum show. I understand. I caught last night's show after the fact. There were some good calls, some very good calls, some first-time callers. We love the first-time callers. So make sure you get up in here and subscribed to If You Don't Like That. Also, as I said earlier, we are brought to you by Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland in the Blue Oaks Town Center. I was just at the Sacramento location a couple of nights ago. By the way, I paid off my debt to the NBA guru. We had a little side bet about how much Malik Monk would make per year, and we put a Bennett's dinner on it. So, Guru, it's paid off, dude. Hope you enjoyed your redfish. I had an amazing, amazing steak, but huge thanks to the team out at the Sacramento location. Margot, the manager there, actually, Brian, the owner's daughter. So got to talk with her for a little bit. But get to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can find out more about their other locations, their weekend brunch specials, and also they've got a great happy hour menu. They call it their Sips and Taste. That runs from 2 to, I believe, 6 o'clock. And then Monday nights, you can get a bottle of wine, 2 entrees, $65. Can't beat it. I'm telling you, make sure you go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com for more information. That is Bennett's Westside Grill in Rockland, located in the Blue Oaks Town Center. We are going along here on a Thursday. By the way, y'all, Haunted Horse. Yes, Haunted Horse. is going to be in the King's Court in studio tomorrow. What do you think about that? That is going to be interesting. I know this guy is going to step into my studio and he's going to be looking around. He's like, oh, you should have this cord for that. Oh, wait, why do you have that plugged in here? This guy is a technological freaking wizard. For those that didn't know, Haunted Horse is actually the one. Check this out. Haunted Horse is the one that created this for us this season.
1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter. Stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball.
Fox. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation.
So you get the point. He knows what he is doing digitally. So he will be here in studio. It'll be a fun Friday. Remember, we went 9 across last Friday. That was pretty damn interesting. And we had Emran. That was a great show as well. In fact, Emran is possibly going to start doing some more stuff with us here on the King's Court. That will be a lot of fun. Yeah, should we refire that debate up? Oh, maybe we should do, you know what? You have to foster a cat. What do you think about that for a fantasy football punishment? Gives back to the community, gives back. Somebody had to do an animal shelter day 1 year for the Fantasy Football League. I'm also thinking about opening up a King's Court fantasy football. Wow, he will miss the year just about. Yeah, we're talking about Devin Carter there. 6 months, torn labrum, went through successful surgery today. He will be reevaluated in 6 months. Again, labrum, not rotator cuff. That is the best news. Joss, let's see. Onions. What about the onions? Let me know. I'm interested in that. I could get with the onions, but I'm thinking about doing a fantasy football league here in the King's Court. But you got to win your way into the fantasy football league. I'm sure that there is at least 12 people who would like to participate in that. That would be wild. And then obviously the fun part of fantasy football, picking your team name. There are some creative names out there. I had a great one going for a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking this. Foster a cat. I am liking that one a lot now. You know what? We're going to write that down. Foster a cat. I like it. I like it. Maybe, Haunted Horse will be a fan of that one as well. It's not going to happen. He's not going to do it. He is not fantasy guy. He does like doing the Pick'em League. He likes the Pick'em League, but I doubt you will get him to play fantasy. Too much time. And in fantasy baseball, fantasy basketball, all that's too much time for me too. Fantasy football once a week, I can deal with that. So Jay says he would do fantasy here. There you go. So we'll start thinking about some of those things. Speaking about football, I heard an interesting conversation the other day. It was on a national radio show. And so, yeah, probably PPRJ if we were to do it. But here was the conversation. So we've talked a little bit about video games already. We've talked about fantasy football. As you know, draft season is going to be coming up for fantasy football. And here's the question that I want to ask you, because I thought it was a good debate, and I wonder where all of you come out on this. Patrick Mahomes, if he is 100 rating, let's say he's a Madden 100, who is the next closest quarterback to him in rating? To me, I feel like Patrick Mahomes is head and shoulders above every other quarterback in the NFL. Like, you almost can't put anyone else in the 90s. You can't put anybody close to him at 100. So where do you come out on that? Maybe Maybe, well, no, Lamar's not there. He can't win the big one usually. So where do you come out on that? Is Patrick just in a different league of his own? I think he is. BJ says, I've never played fantasy football. I try it. Sounds fun. Yeah. The problem is, here's the problem with fantasy football. The problem is when you end up drafting players and you have players on your team that are actually playing against your favorite team, because it's like this big conflict of interest. It's like, I don't want to see them do well, but I want to win my game. Jalen Hurts, I don't think Hurts is anywhere close to Patrick Mahomes. No, I think you got to talk about the guy down at Houston. I know that Stroud has only had it for his rookie year down in Houston. It was very successful. I think CJ is probably the second best quarterback with the highest ceiling behind Patrick Mahomes. I know it sounds crazy. Justin Herbert now with Jim Harbaugh, he's probably up there. I'm excited to see what they do, but I think it's a tough one. Jordan Love, I don't think so. Flores' punishment was just giving money to the winner. Yeah, I don't want to do that. I want to do something more. I kind of like the fireman. I like the fostering of the cat. I want something that has some bite, but nothing that's like, oh, I got to make sure my workplace doesn't see this. I saw, so here's one that got ran by me. Somebody hit me up on the X with this one. Another clone. You have to play dodgeball with fruit. So everybody else and that's the problem. We can't all be in the same spot. We are all across the United States, but everybody gets to throw fruit at you. Justin Herbert is what Jay would have next franchise if I started a team. Yeah, he's up there. I don't think his receivers always hurt, right? And I don't think that he had the best coach so far. I think Justin Herbert was the saving grace of that Chargers team. And had the Chargers given up on Justin Herbert to go get JJ McCarthy, what a mistake that would have been. But I think he is definitely up there in my opinion. But I still don't think you can even put him in the same sentence as Mahomes. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think so. I think he's on the downside. Guy can still throw it on a string, but can he stay healthy? That'll be interesting. And what about most of your guys? Brock Purdy. I know a lot of you are San Francisco Niners fans. What about Brock Purdy? You get the game manager thing. You get the arguments that he's got the best talent around him in the league. I don't know, man. That guy's got some ice water running through his veins. It doesn't seem like any moment is too big for that dude. But he has had some struggles too. The Niners, to me, if you are John Lynch, if you are Kyle Shanahan and you do not win a Super Bowl this year, things are going to be drastically different in San Francisco. I mean, what more could you do to get a team a ring than what they have done over the last 3-4 years? I know they've been super close, but close does not cut it. You got to get over that hill, and they have just not been able to do it. Jay says my defense would be elite. Interesting. I spend the bulk of my cap space on the defensive line. That's where it starts, right? You see many of the teams that have been the most successful in the NFL over the past couple of years, defensive line, offensive line. You gotta have time. You either have to have time or you got to give the team less time to get the ball out of their hands. Bosa's a boss. I love Crosby. Crosby's awesome. I love Max's story. I love his drive. I think he's a great dude. They need to get him some help in Oakland in Las Vegas, in my opinion. By the way, one of my buddies who is a Raiders fan, he was pricing out the cost of going to see the Raiders in Vegas and then going to see the Raiders on the road in Kansas City. Going to see them in Kansas City is actually a cheaper trip, including the flight, than going to see him in Vegas. I found that super interesting. Yeah, Patrick running Mahomes. Yes, Patrick, he's just a different cat. I love his training style. I just nothing. He's Superman. He is Superman. Dude gets hurt and he's able to rehab like that. He's got the will to win, and you don't hear anybody complaining about the contract that he signed. He's been worth every damn dime of that, and that was a long-term contract. Now, Deshaun Watson, that is another story. I feel like that has set the Browns back, and that's not even talking about the stuff that is off the field. So I know we're getting really excited about the NFL season. I can't wait for it to come around. This, to me, starts to become one of the most exciting times of the year. But the thing that I don't like about this time of the year, once training camps begin, is hearing about the injuries. It's inevitable. We will be on here in 6 weeks talking about some impact player, some rookie that was supposed to have, a big effect on their team that goes down. I hate seeing that in the preseason, and I know there's nothing you can do to really prevent injuries, but it happens far too often. Denver was one of the teams affected by that last year. So, and how about Pittsburgh? If you're Pittsburgh, what are you doing at the quarterback position? I know Russell Wilson is penciled in to be the starting quarterback. Cody, I'm talking to you here because you got the Russell experience last year, which was a much different Russell Wilson experience than Seattle got when he was drafted. But to see Russell Wilson sit up after a fumble and watch the guys jump on the ball and not go for it, that to me was when I was like, all right, Russell's done. Like he's washed. Because half of Russell's game was the mental game. It was the effort game. And to see that sucked. So anyways, Pittsburgh, is it going to be Justin Fields? Do you think Russell keeps that job the entire season? I don't know. Mike Tomlin, if there's somebody that can fix Russell Wilson, Mike Tomlin easily could be that guy. And Russell Wilson, I've said this for a really long time because I watched him so closely in Seattle. You have to build an offense around Russell Wilson. It's almost a system type of quarterback where everything needs to revolve around him. You've got to have a great running game. You've got to have a great defense. And you got to have some receivers that can get down the field because Russell's specialty is dropping it in there. Go watch any of his highlight reels. Dude can drop a beautiful ball out of the sky right into somebody's hands. Case in point, the NFC Championship game to Javon Curse that sent the Seahawks to their second Super Bowl. Crosby and Mahomes have history. What kind of history besides the normal? We're not sure about that. Who would your number one wide receiver be? I don't know. I haven't given it that much thought. How about you, Jay? Who's your number one? Yeah, he doesn't think there is a clear number one. Yeah, it's tough to say. All these offenses are different, right? And it depends on the league. Are you going PPR? How are you scoring it? I mean, some receivers are used as much as a running back is used with the slot screens and the bubble screens. So it's really difficult to gauge. I don't know. It's not Debo, obviously. I don't know. Who is your number one receiver coming into this season? I'm looking at some of the Lions guys, not saying they're number one receivers, but if I think that there's another team that's going to take the next step this year, following up, remember the Lions, they've been on that slow march. They beat the Packers, not last season, but the season before in Aaron Rodgers' last game at Lambeau Field, which eliminated the Packers from the playoffs. And then the Lions followed it up, another strong season. I really, really like what they're doing in Detroit. I think that they are going to be here. Dan Campbell, different dude, different cat. And Grant's team, the New York Giants, are they going to bounce back this year? Daniel Jones, is he going to have that big year? What about the Philadelphia Eagles? Coach keeps his job, Nick Sirianno. Or is it not Nick Sirianno? Excuse me. The Eagles coach, who probably should have been fired. No, he doesn't, but they turn over a lot of the coaching staff. You bring in Saquon Barkley. There's a lot of interesting storylines in the NFL this year. A lot of interesting storylines. Yeah, He is nice. I had him last year. He is, because I was in I should say this. We didn't take it really seriously, but Tyreek Hill was on one of my teams. It was on my team. It was a last minute thing. Who was through Sleeper. And I think it was like an auto draft. And yeah, he had a good year. Jaden Reed, interesting pick. And hey, Adam, how about them Cowboys? Finchy, how about them Cowboys? Dak Prescott, anything to worry about with that walking boot? It's interesting. There's a lot of storylines. Dallas, man, until Jerry Jones either steps aside or is no longer a part of that team, I just don't see it happening. It's the Jones family business. They can't get over the hill. And I really don't have a big problem with the Cowboys per se, but I just don't think Dak is your guy. So it's really tough stuff, really fun stuff. That's what makes the NFL so damn interesting to follow and watch. But hey, the big news today, Devin Carter underwent successful surgery on his left shoulder. And the best news about it, it was a torn labrum that has now been repaired. He will be reevaluated, or there will be another medical update in 6 months. That's the important language there. He will not be back in 6 months. There will be another medical update in 6 months. That just breaking while we were on there here on the King's Court. Hey, don't forget to make sure to come back. Grant's going to be back at 5 o'clock. And then tomorrow, we're going to wrap up the week. We're going to have some fun. We'll continue some of these conversations about the fantasy football. And yes, at some point, Haunted Horse will be in the King's Court, literally here in studio. That should be interesting. So, hey, I appreciate you getting through the dog days of summer with us. We are going to be keeping it fun, keeping it fresh, keeping it interesting, and keeping it on top of all things Kings. If I hear anything, make sure you stay tuned to my X account. Remember, we have been all over a lot of these stories with the Kings, timelines on when guys likely would get traded or come in, what the Kings are looking for, how they're looking for it. The person I spoke to before 4th of July, if you were here on the show last Wednesday, laid out some principles. All those things ended up coming true and happening. So make sure that you are subscribed to my X account. That is also where you can find the links to the audio versions of the King's Court as well. Grant has another open forum show at 5 o'clock. Make sure you come back and support him. Get a great rest of the day. We will be back tomorrow to wrap up the week. Give me a holy moly.
Holy moly, Jimbaboli.
Love it. Go Kings. Light the damn beam. Stay away from Levine. Come back with Grant for an open forum show, 5 o'clock Pacific. Huge thanks to Bennett's Westside Grill for sponsoring the show. Court is dismissed.